meeting. Linda has served our community for 5 terms, which is extraordinary. And we will mention that a wee bit at the end and ask her to speak. And this is also Bibi Fraley's last meeting, as she's not running again. So we'll also make a little bit of a fuss of the two of them later in the program. And actually it's Phil's as well. Phil's last meeting. So the one thing that I did forget to do, which I'd also like to acknowledge, is Queen Elizabeth II. I'd like to invite you all to stand for a minute's silence in appreciation and acknowledgement of her passing. Thank you very much. And what a great leader she was. Okay, so we'll start on to the second item on the agenda, which is the declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest that they would like to declare? So we already have Linda declaring an interest in item 7. With the Darlington Community Trust. Are there any others anyone has? No? Okay, well, I move that we, sorry, don't need to? Okay, we won't. Wonderful, we'll move on to the confirmation of the previous minutes, assuming that everyone has had a read of them. Would somebody like to move those? Oh. Okay, Joe, and seconded by Celeste. All those in favour? Aye. All those opposed? No? Okay, so thank you very much. That's carried. So now we move on to the public participation part of the meeting. So we have 3 of these today. The first one is the New Brighton Community Gardens, which yeah, so Catherine and Lynn, is that correct? Yes. Welcome. So on behalf of the New Brighton Community Garden, they'll provide us with an update. So, thank you, guys. We have 5 minutes. Good to see you. Thank you for all the work that you do in the community. Thank you. And have done for some time.
We've bought lots of things. No lettuces today, but I'm not have enough time. Anyway, has it started yet? Oh, okay. Can someone tell me what to do? How to press?
Just to press the button on the right.
I'll do it for you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. On that, just the clicker.
Like this one?
On the front of it, there's a side-to-side button.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this one. Okay. Well, hello. Hello there.
I've done it.
It's on. It's on. Don't worry.
It's them up if you want.
Yeah, that might be a bit better.
Okay. Okay. Hello. Not working.
Is it turned on the side? There's an on-off switch.
We've done this before. Okay. Here we go. So for starters, we like to say that we are representing here our volunteers, our staff, our trustees, visitors, educators, and anyone who comes through the gate, really. And we wanted to say in their name, a big thank you for the support over the past couple of years you guys have provided. And I know kind of some of you come through the garden as well. So at the end of the day, we are representing all of these people who come from very different backgrounds, as you can see, and do a lot of different good in the garden. So we've been busy, kind of. You might follow us on Facebook. If not, feel free to. We do have Instagram, but we're not up with it. So, but we had one big thing at the beginning of the year, which was Donald Cabin, and thanks to City Care, who provided the labour for free, and a lot of other companies, we managed to pull this off. That was through a fund through Lotto, who originally wasn't quite sure about whether it would be, because it's an individual person kind of, and whether it would be a good idea to fund this. However, the interaction we have with Donald's for children coming to the gardens, today international students came, and that interaction, which is what we envision to have, is just incredible, really. So we're very grateful for that. It was a big job, so kind of. Education programs. So we've been busy. We just finished our 10-week winter program. We do individual programs, one-off sessions. We do everything from skills our children should know, which is like life skills are life skills, where they cut all sorts of things. And people always get a bit scared, but actually they do really well. No one has been stabbed yet. And we did have the odd little cut, but you know, time heals all wounds, or marriage kind of. So, and we have individual sessions as well, but they learn things also like sustainability is quite massive. And we do kind of encourage, we want to make little change makers, don't we? Kind of, we want people who question things, kind of. And one of the things is, for example, the bag discussion, paper bags, plastic bags, all of that, and none of them are good. And so we get them to make out of old shirts bags, and so they love doing that and produce bag. And so we just try to really encourage sustainability, you know, in every way, kind of. Then a big everything is in our garden, isn't it? Kind of, sorry. The even bigger thing, kind of, is the composting we do, and everyone who walks through the garden obviously learns composting. We do that from an early age with our students as well, and because it's such a big thing for Christchurch in particular, it's a very relevant subject. And talk about biodegradable things, like a plastic bag is biodegradable. It's just a question when. So home composting, all of that. So we have a school program doing that, and we work with Te Pā, which is the convention centre. They have a machine which is like a dehydrator of food waste, and so about
like up to 200 kilos of food waste is dehydrated down to 20 kilos.
Wow,
which is huge. And so we're trialling it at the gardens from Te Pā. And hopefully it'll be used all around all the community gardens, 42 community gardens in Canterbury. And then they're looking at trialling it out at the airport as well. So very cool. And so far we've had great, well, the birds love it, don't they? But the silverbeak and everything's growing good. It's sort of something that you need to add through a compost. You wouldn't want to use it directly. But yeah, pretty exciting.
It's very, and if you think of in regard to even transportation of that, if you think of something goes to 20 kilos versus 200, that's massive. So it's great. So we teach kids kind of all of that. Then I didn't get a picture, we didn't get a good picture of our new garden bed, but we built basically a wheelchair accessible garden bed, and it has, rather than just for a person to just come in and plant 3 salads, kind of, it's actually 9 meters long, kind of 3 meter wide. It has 3 rows. And the idea is that, you know, I might be in a wheelchair planting here, but then fit Catherine kind of might be on the side standing, and kind of she can work there. And then me being with my sore knees, I can sit on a part as well. And so you have this interaction of people. So that's been a really, really well-received thing. We do need the pathway, if you know anyone who kind of is in construction around. So, but this is, come and see it. Another thing we got from the council is the art hut, which we turned into a sensory seed-saving hut.
Really nice in the yellow.
And we turned the colour into yellow, which can help ourselves. It's looking awesome though. And it will give our volunteers who have a bit of a sensory disability, kind of, they can be in the garden without being in the garden. So do
you have any more slides? Because we're coming to the end of the time.
Oh, okay, kind of. Okay, really good. Bread and butter is this one, kind of.
It's growing the food.
Growing the food. We have massive support. Kind of Graham Roofing is just giving us an entire new roof for free.
This Saturday.
This Saturday, if you want to see something amazing. And then Etique just gave us 1,650 of their concentrates, kind of, which is body products.
Wow.
So, and then if you could have 2 seconds for Catherine to talk about this, because you might not know that we do that.
Oh, so these are a lot of the different things we do. So we're involved, well, we have different schools that come to us. Just finished our 10-week program, 70 children every Friday, which is amazing. So they get the choice of this gardening instead of sport, but the children aren't choosing this to get out of sport. They really, really want to do the gardening, and we see them bringing their parents in on Saturdays. So that's a big one. We do a lot of work with the local police here in Brighton, and we've had great success with that. So some young people that have just done a little bit something silly, and instead of going through the systems, they come down and do 12 to 20 hours with us. And a lot of them come back and visit us to call in, and yeah, it's very, very successful, because in a garden everyone is equal and no one has to explain themselves in our garden. So we get people from corrections, we've got 10 at the moment doing the hours, and we'll have someone from corrections working with someone from Ferndale School, and they might never meet outside our garden fence usually, but they're just laughing and working together and sharing their knowledge and their skills, and pretty amazing. Yeah.
Well, look, yeah, we've really come to the end of the time, but
Okay.
I just want to thank you for your contributions to the community, because I mean, it's organisations like yours that make a massive, massive difference in people's lives. And, you know, just the fact that you're engaging with, assuming they're youth offenders, I mean, that's a really fantastic thing, you know. And you're right, gardens are really good places, very therapeutic places, I think. So look, thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the whole community, and thanks for the update. And please come back to the new board. Yeah, and inform them, because there may be some new personnel. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having your support. Oh, Ryan.
Okay, those. Thank you, Catherine and Lynn.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated. Okay. Sorry, we don't have more time, but yeah, we've got quite a program to get through today. So the next item on the agenda is 4.2. So I'd like to invite Nikora Nitro, who's a local business owner and resident. He's going to address us in relation to the following organisations. Now, you've got quite a list here, Nikora. So we have 5 minutes. So please come up to the table here, and welcome.
Tēnā koe. Tēnā rā tātou i te whare, nei rā te mihi atu ki a tātou ko whai wā kia whakatina nei i nei tūmomo mahi a tātou. Nō reira katikara kia mihi atu ki te puari nei mo a koutou nā mahi a tino pai i rote i ngā mahi o te tangata i rote i te hapori. Nō reira tēnā rā tātou i te whare. Ko te wiki o te reo Māori hoki tēnei, nō reira katikara kia mautoni tātou ki te reo. Nei kore pai ana itahi kupu ki tā o te kore kau. Nō reira tēnei te mihi atu kia tātou e whakariwa ana i te reo i roto i ngā mahi o te wā. Nei rā hoki te mihi ki tō tātou kuini, te kuini o Ingarangi, me tōna mate te e haere ake ana i tēnei wā. Katikara kia mihi atu ki ai i roto i tēnei wā o te tangihanga. Mo te ao katoa, nō reira, nei rā te mihi atu ki ona mahi. Mihi atu hoki ki te hāpore, ko tau ki tēnei hui mutunga, mo tēnei o ngā kaupapa o te kaunihira o tautahi nei. Nō reira, huri noa te pare tēnā rā tātou katoa. So just to acknowledge the passing of our Queen, as she has the most fantastic and fabulous funeral of the world, and that we can find lots of inspiration in everything that she's done in the past for our relationship as people living every day looking for inspiration. And so she is a true queen in my view, and so I pay homage to her. And I pay homage to the board also, who have struck their stuff for all this time and getting these different kaupapa off the ground and supporting communities when the communities engage. As we know, there's a little bit of low community engagement, and that's not the fault of the community boards or the city council. It's actually probably the fault of the people trying to find different ways in which to engage, of which we present ourselves today. Ottawa Paeroa Incorporated Society, a bunch of Māori progressive thinkers, business owners, community advocates, all coming together under this one kaupapa of Ottawa Paeroa Incorporated Society. I am so sorry that we only have 5 minutes, but I did put my timer on, so that's very lovely. I've got 2 minutes 42 left. And counting. And so just on the board, just a very, very simple outlay of those people that are gathering within the gateway that stretches from this community board all the way to Menage Toi, down at the beginning of the gateway. Then for us as the Māori community, it moves into the main mall where we can find Carnaby Lane, and then we have the beachfront. So when we're talking from a lens of a Māori bunch of people from the Māori community, we're really talking about this stage, those that are got businesses in the gateway, which include Kitchen 109, who has been a business here for 5 years, struggled. And so with the moving in of the Hangi House into the old bar that used to be the Black Power pad, and in past times also an art studio, and has also been Matt's Bar, the most unruly bar I hear of New Brighton. And so we bring lots of love and lots of people to move forward in a different direction for the community. We're struggling for rent, that's fine, that's all part of business. But we are reaching out so that we might be heard in this community as people that are just trying to get along in the community and bring through more health and wealth for both Māori and New Zealanders. And so before you have the chairperson of the Ottawa Paeroa Incorporated Society, Jonathan Penfold, and also Tui Milner, who is the secretary, and then our fabulous treasurer, we love treasurers, Perry Kingy. And so just on the board, basically an overview is that the Ottawa Paeroa is where the Māori Business Association meets, where we look at facilities and space of New Brighton, where we're sort of exploring a BDI sort of program, if there's such a thing that can happen around here. Then we've got the homeless and the Government Department of Advocacy now being getting some traction with our new marae, which is, we've also called that space Takutai Kauo Marae, because as you know, the marae is locked down in Ngāhue Whā, and Lehua is $500 a hui. So on and so forth. So just, if you could just keep looking at the board, it's very lovely. The time is coming to an end, 27 minutes, but I've left heaps of kōrero up there. And if you'd like to know more about those things, like the homeless, we got 5 people into accommodation just last week, or the week before, and we do it all on the backs of our willingness to help community as we see them sleep on the streets. So basically the format for us with homeless over at this side is we watch them sleep for 3 weeks and then we get them together over 3 days. And that's been working really well. So just a big thank you to everyone for having us here today. Tēnā koutou.
Well timed. Thank you. Look, it's really good to know what organisations are doing and planning in the area. You know, at the end of the day, if everybody acted the way that you do and care for some aspect of the community, that we would be in a much better place. So thank you for the things that you do for the people of this community.
Kia ora.
Thank you.
Can I just get clarification in our agenda? It's got Oroa instead of Paeroa. So is that a typo? And I take it that is the wrong
Oh,
spelling?
yes, wrong spelling.
It
It's
is
supposed to
the
be
wrong
Ottawa Paeroa.
Yeah, okay. So can we alter that?
It will be amended in the
Yeah,
minute.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Tēnā koutou.
Okay, so moving right along, we are up to item 4.3. So this, I'd like to invite Kathy Baker from the Guardians of Rafidi to come and present to us. And who have you got with you, Kathy?
This is Ken, my husband.
Ken?
My long suffering husband.
So do you want to stand by that microphone just there,
Oh.
Kathy, so we can
Yeah,
all
sure.
hear you and sort of
No,
speak in
hear
the
me?
general direction of the microphone, and we'll go from there. Welcome.
Just very quickly, yeah, I spoke with Joe and we're installing the first lollipop in the children's woodland playground on Wednesday. And so seeing this is the last board meeting, I thought I'd bring it and show, because many of you may not be here the next one.
Good point.
So, yeah, and you supported us so much. It's just been brilliant. So this is the lollipop. This is the first one.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
Actually, would you like to bring that into the middle so that the camera and the viewers can see
okay.
that? So
And it's a candle right at the top there.
don't trip up on that ribbon there. Yeah.
So the lollipops, of course, the playground is for living children, isn't it? Butterflies represent souls of departed, who've departed our earth. And so we thought how lovely to be able to incorporate something for children who once walked out amongst us. And so this is what these are. And so this first one is actually my friend from Dayton, Ohio in the USA. And she has bought it because her daughter died of breast cancer very young. And she said to me one day, Kathy, I'm off to the, said, you sound down. She said, yes, I'm off to the cemetery again. It's grey, it's horrible. I just wish there was somewhere in the world where Teresa's name was in a joyous setting. And I said, oh, Sylvia, have I got the thing for you? And she just leapt at the chance to be able to do it. So we're installing this on Wednesday, and that's the first one.
The butterflies from Ohio.
Yep, the butterfly is the state butterfly of Ohio, from where she comes from. So people who have lost a child may purchase these and have their child's name there. They can choose any butterfly. We've got 3,000 butterflies that they can choose from. And from anywhere in the world, where a lot of us are immigrants, we've got association internationally everywhere. And so you can choose, they can, or people can choose butterflies that mean something to them from the place that they come from. So that's what we're doing.
That's
So that's the first one. And so we're hoping we've got Chris Lynch coming on Friday to film the playground. We've got a few wee things happening there, like seed bomb making and stuff. And we're hopefully going to have a kaumātua to bless this on Friday. So, and we'll lay flowers and just do something really nice. And then hopefully, yeah, as the word gets out, people will purchase them and we will have these beautiful butterflies round the pathway, remembering children who once walked amongst us. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And thank you to the board for all your support.
Well, thank you, Kathy. That's a really beautiful thing. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I have a link to Ohio too. I went to university in Ohio as a 19-year-old a long time ago. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I probably saw those butterflies.
You possibly did. Yes,
Probably
it's
did.
a beauty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're eventually going to have a QR code on there linking to Dayton, Ohio, USA. So kids can click on it with their device and find out about where the butterfly comes from, and also the name of the butterfly so they can find out about its habitat, so that they learn about butterflies from all over the world.
But I think it's a really tasteful sign too, don't you think? Yeah, it looks really good.
Thank you.
Anyway, wonderful. Thank you very much for your update.
Thank you.
Much appreciated, and best of luck. And thank you for all the work that you do for the community and as the guardians of our city.
You're welcome.
Wonderful.
You're welcome. Thank
All right.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And inside the 5 minutes as well. Yes.
Very well behaved.
We're on fire today. It's been getting pretty good. Okay, so we'll move on to item 5 on the agenda, which is deputations by appointment. There are none. So we'll then move on to item 6 on the agenda, which is presentations of petitions. And there are none of those. So we'll move on to item 7 on the agenda, which is the correspondence. So we've got some correspondence from the Darlington Community Trust. So Cindy, would you like to speak to that?
I'll just take the report as read. There's no action being sought, so it's just for the board to formally receive it. Once the board, or if the board choose to receive it formally, I'll just acknowledge that back from David Collins tomorrow.
Okay, well, does anybody have any questions at all? So, Pete,
I don't have a question, I just listening.
okay. Would
I
you
just
like to
wanted
make
to
it?
say thank you to David for writing the letter, and it's really good to hear about all of the things they do. The community trusts are really active in the Darlington community, and what they do is really important. They run a lot of small scale events which add up to quite a lot of activity in the area, and I'm really grateful that they're there doing those things.
Yeah, well said. I mean, they're real stayers in that area, you know, in light of everyone else moving out. Okay, well, I move that we receive the correspondence. Do I have a seconder? Can Linda do that? Could
No.
How about I do?
You can do that.
Okay.
Sorry, Linda. Okay, so the motion is there. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to item 8, which is the confirmation of the New Brighton Christchurch Regeneration Acceleration Facility, otherwise known as the CRAF program. So I'd like to invite Lynette Ellis, my old friend Rob McGusty from Nelson College, and perhaps Bill. Oh, Kelly.
As we always do.
Yeah.
There's almost as many of us as there are of you.
Come and play musical chairs. Sit tight.
Now that we
When the music stops, make sure you've all got a chair.
That's singing.
Is there anyone left?
We thought we had people visiting actually, but it was just all of you.
Yeah.
So, the purpose of this report is to approve the program of work, not the detailed design. So that is going to be done a little later. And then you're going to report back in the new term prior to consultation and following consultation for a formal board decision if I'm,
Of the project details.
yes, of the project details.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I'm going to start with a wee whoopsie that's not even Cindy knows about. Bob just gave me a call before coming here. So in the report, you notice right at the top there that I've had the starting point of Marine Parade from 187. Rob has pointed out that we actually are proposing to also do work from Hawke Street. Yes, so sorry, that was me. I just started further down than I should have.
Sorry, just for you, Mr. Chair, so you want it to read the upgrade of Marine Parade from Hawke Street to Bow Hill Road.
Yeah, and it's also referenced 4 more times in the report as well.
We can just reflect that in a minute.
Well, I might as well hold my hand up and just say there's been a mistake.
I'll make a mistake.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually just really pleased that Rob pointed it out before we got to the meeting today. Yeah.
Where is 187?
It's closer to Lonsdale.
Oh, is it?
Closer to
Oh, okay.
Lonsdale.
Yeah,
So we're getting more bang for our buck now.
yeah, well, no, just getting more work done than the report indicates.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, great. Do we need to do intros, or does everyone know everyone here? I think. This is Billy. He's our
Yep.
senior traffic engineer. Don't worry about Lynette, everyone knows who she is. I think everyone knows Rob by now. This is Bruce Stephen down the end. So Bruce, he's a senior associate at Becca, and he's my pavement guy. And this is introducing Shalene. Shalene is fairly new to the project management team, and she's going to be delivering the New Brighton projects for you. So you'll be seeing a lot more of her in the future.
Welcome.
Great. So as Kelly has indicated, the purpose of today is to decide on the program of work for the New Brighton Creek area. Not so much to decide to talk about the detail as such of what each of the projects will include. However, I do have the technical guys here, so if you do have any questions later on or not. So yeah, as Kelly said, we will, just like a normal project, or Shalene, will come back to the board prior to consultation to show you what's been designed and to gather any of your feedback. And then after consultation, there will still be a decision report which details all the submissions that have been made. So these projects do just fall into the normal decision-making process. So the board will still be involved in these projects moving forward, and we'll see the details of what is being proposed before they're taken out to public consultation. So from very early on, this board gave us a really strong steer that upgrading Marine Parade from the centre to Bow Hill Road was their priority, and including AC. we indicated that we had some concerns about the strength of the pavement, that whether it would be able to withstand AC. So we did extensive testing on Marine Parade and Bohill Road. And Rob and Bruce reported back to the board on the results of those testing. And along with that, we also made some recommendations on what they thought the treatment should be. And this was a mixture of AC, where possible, and chip seal. When we last spoke to you, there was largely agreement from the board with these recommendations and agreement that Marine Parade was still the first priority, and then Bohill Road if there was remaining budget. Recently, the board have also requested that Graffiti Ave is included as well as a third priority if there is remaining budget. So these are the three projects that have been included in the staff recommendation for the program, for the CRAF program for New Brighton. That will obviously change to the upgrade of Marine Parade from Hawke Street to Bohill Road. Then, if there is remaining budget, the resurfacing and some trench repairs down Bohill Road. And then if there is remaining budget, the upgrade of Graffiti Ave. So that was our interpretation of the information that the board had given us.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot with the board about the safety and access features to be included on Marine Parade and Bohill Road. So we have noted a lot of feedback. So we will show you the options for the cycle facilities on Marine Parade and Bohill Road. Also noting that neither of these are an NCR. So the options that we look at will be tailored to suit that. We will investigate crossing facilities at Bohill Road, Shore Ave, Tonk Street and Keys Road. We will investigate safety measures around Graffiti School and work with the school safety team on that, the council school safety team on that. And we are also aware that the board do not want speed humps every 100 metres, and so we will also be investigating this as well. We do just need to continue to make it clear that whatever is included in the designs, they do have to meet current designs, and they have to meet current standards. So we will bring all the draft designs back for your feedback before taking them out to consultation. We're also aware that the two developments happening on Marine Parade, one at 180 to 183, where there's 37 lots, and then the other one outside the project area at 231 Marine Parade as well. So without getting into too much detail about the treatments on Marine Parade and Bohill Road, they will include chip seal and AC and some rebuilding of the pavement where it's required so it can withstand the AC. It will include sections of new curb and channel and new footpaths. And there will be some repairs to the failed trench line on Bohill Road if funding permits for that. And it will include safety and access improvements like cycle facilities and speed reduction measures and crossing facilities. In terms of delivery timeframes, because we are proposing different treatments along Marine Parade in the first priority, some sections will be able to be done quicker than others. So if the board would like us to go and do what we can when we can certainly take that back to our contractor, or we can go and do it all in one go. And so there's only just one period of disruption. So we're happy to seek the board's feedback on that. There is work that can be done quick. I know that there is a desire to get as much work done as we can. So that's it for kind of the technical, the presentation, but we do have our technical staff here where there's probably some questions just around the different treatment types.
Sure. I mean, it was a hard-won decision at our extraneous board meeting at QE2 where we hashed this out over an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And I don't know that we really want to relitigate that whole thing again, but obviously there will be some questions that I could see. Joe already got one. Did I see your hand?
Timeframes.
Sure.
Okay. So Joe, do you want to start?
Yes, one thing that you haven't brought up, which was mentioned in amongst our board discussions, was a crossing on Hawke Street.
A crossing on Hawke Street. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't.
Or looking at that, excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, they could do
Just looking through at the intersection there, it's really hard to cross that road.
So we're talking about off Marine Parade, actually on Hawke Street.
Hawke Street, because Hawke Street, there used to be a crossing on it in the centre of the street before the redevelopment was done. So people used to be able to cross to halfway, then cross the rest of the way waiting for the traffic, but now they just can't do that. And there's actually quite a lot of traffic with the supermarket around the corner there and a bus stop around the corner there, and lots of people trying to cross towards New Brighton Mall on that corner. So it is quite hard for pedestrians, and this is one of the things that we did want included. Whether it's put in a little bit towards the west part, or not right on the corner, but in the wee bit.
Further down a
Maybe
bit
it's
to
another option.
supermarket.
But I think in the future, if the Oromouth extension gets put through, a lot of traffic will be diverted around there. So looking into the future, I think it's really necessary.
We can include that for investigation.
Yeah, thank
no
you.
problem. Yep.
Yeah, and the other thing, just to take into consideration when you're doing this work is a lot of the draft ones were over people's driveways.
Yes. Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
being considerate about parking and coast to coast. Like we don't want to ruin that road for the coast to coast as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. So did you?
Yep. I would agree with what Joe was saying in that particular intersection, which is Hawke Street and Marine Parade. I know there was work done up into that corner. But that intersection is quite a key one. So if we just did work to the left, without taking into account the pedestrian crossings on both sides of that four-way crossing, it would be good to kind of just extend it a little bit in terms of planning. I know that particular corner, so if you're heading towards along Hawke Street on the right-hand side, just opposite the playground, a lot of people cross there to get to the pools, and it is quite hazardous. And also for the resident who lives on that corner, she's sort of got some sort of badly planned pavement areas there, so she's getting quite badly impacted. So it would be quite useful if we could consider the residents in those kind of key areas. She's quite elderly, and I know has had some challenges around that. So just if we can, in terms of that space, it would be good to kind of widen the planning. I think particularly in that corner and probably down towards Bogle, that's kind of key crossing as well, isn't it? Over towards the Surf Club.
The crossing at the end of Bogle and Marine, currently there's a little dip down for trains and people to go across there. But when you take that little crossing, there's a lamppost straight in front of you. So it's really hard if you've got a plan to actually quickly turn around the lamppost that's straight in front of the crossing. So
we'll look at
I'm
location.
I'm sure they'll look at all those things before they come back to us.
Just a few more quick things. There is you'll know all this, but there's quite a bit of traffic along outside of the potholes now with cyclists. And I've noticed there's a bigger increase in electric bikes. With the design, the bollards and the chains, it's just a bit of a risk as well. So just something else. And the final thing is I know you'll be aware the Coastal Rangers are doing some work in terms of there's a cycleway connection that's heading up to the Waipara region.
Yes, I think
Yeah. So it would be good to just make sure that that's incorporated, because that's a separate bit of work that's going, and you're just using the existing paths, but it would be good to align that if any work's been done at the same time.
Yes, I will make a note of that because I saw some plans. I think they were requested by yourself. Yeah.
By a resident.
Yeah. That's a sort of way. Yes,
I don't know any details, but I can think what I've got.
I've seen what you got because someone ran it past me first. I said I wasn't aware of it, but now I am.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And final quick question is, you mentioned timeframes. Do we know when any work might start, best case scenario? Because I was just thinking in terms of whether to do it all at once or whether break it up might depend on whether it's summer or not. Because if it's all with the coast to coast,
we just need to get it through. We need to get it through construction, through consultation first.
Yeah.
So you've got to get through consultation first, then you have an idea of when construction would likely to start.
But best case
After
scenario probably next year.
We won't
Absolutely next year. Might even be next financial year.
Can't really do consultation this year.
You've got to do consultation, and even if we go out to even if we get some designs done, it'll be close to Christmas before we start to get out to consultation at a very least, and it's probably unlikely, so it'll be early next year before we get into consultation.
So when we come back to the board prior to consultation, we can give you an indication then of timeframes for what's been proposed and
Usually reluctant to give you time frames
Oh, no,
because
that's fair.
we, yeah,
just thinking
we
to
get
the-
hung on them and,
Yeah, no,
and it's like, we really don't know now at the moment until we get through that
I was
consultation
just thinking
period.
more in terms of us giving you advice and when, how to go. You have to sort of say,
What the construction
just in
season,
terms of the phasing, because if it's like a major event.
well,
just
yeah,
when
but
we
we'll
plan-
know the major
when we-
events are coming, so we
Yeah.
will
Yeah,
work that
plan
through
for it,
and
yeah.
that will all be worked through with documentation as well. Yeah, so that'll be all worked through.
Okay. Good. Does anybody have any final questions? So you covered, yeah, you were talking about current standards. Could you just define current standards?
So when Cindy sent me the plans that you guys had worked on, I noticed that on some of the, and these were just very high level indicative plans that we did just to kind of indicate what a design potentially could look like. There was some curb build outs around intersections.
Right.
Some of the notes from the board said that they would like those to be narrower. But Billy's probably the best person to talk about. I guess just about the standards and how they can't really be, you know, the woods are the woods.
Yeah, there's like lane widths you have to have, there's vehicle tracking, just to make sure certain vehicles can get around it. But really important ones are things around safety, like visibility space for pedestrians. Like we wouldn't go and upgrade a pedestrian crossing and put one in that's not safe for them to use. So someone using that crossing has to be able to see enough distance to know that it's safe for them to cross, and that's really important around, particularly around beaches and things like that, where you've got kids and schools. Things like lighting at crossings, that's a standard we don't like to deviate from because you've got to be safe when it's crossing when it's dark.
Sure.
Stormwater has a ton of standards in terms of treatment and stuff like that. It can get really like technical, but we'll address all of that. Whoever does the design will, and if you ask for a change, it doesn't meet standards, we'll just have to go through a process when we get to that stage.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, sorry, I just think one thing you have to take into consideration too is that it's really good for us out here to have wider access out so that we can actually fit 2 cars out at a time when we need to evacuate. Because that's the issue that I have at the end of my street now, whereas we've only got one lane because the road's been narrowed so much that it actually causes a bottleneck when we're trying to get out for evacuations.
Yeah. So you've got someone where it's turned right. And
So someone's waiting to turn that way, and in the meantime, a lot of people could have turned left, but they can't get the opportunity to because they're stuck behind the person turning right. So
that's a balance that we have to play all the time across the whole city, because that people find that frustrating. But there's a balance with actually improving things for pedestrians.
Yeah, but
so
with
improving
the
pedestrians,
evacuation as well, the rest of the city doesn't have to evacuate as much as we do.
But also when we're doing evacuations, there'll be evacuation plans, so people will be running in some direction. So that's all being considered in what we do. So it's trying to, we'll be working through that.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Anyway, I think that's about all. So I'm happy to put the motion. Does anybody want to debate it or discuss it? Well, it needs to be put first, I suppose.
Do you want to vote?
Yeah, so I put the motion then. Do I have a seconder? Celeste, thank you. Right.
Were we going to adjust the wording?
It has been adjusted.
Walk straight to vote.
Oh, look,
So-
okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, cool.
Cindy was beavering away in the background, sorting it out for us, so that's been done, hasn't it, Cindy?
It has both sets of,
Yeah. And the delivery part's been taken out.
Yeah, and a note's been added just
Yeah.
clear in relation to the
Same.
plan.
Okay,
Thank
so it has been moved and seconded.
Aye.
All those in favour say aye. Aye, okay, so that's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
you. It's been a real team effort, this one, to get to this
Yeah, now
point.
go have a beer.
Yeah. I recommend it. You're intimidated by bringing so many people.
One.
That
was the plan.
Well,
It's going to be great to get done.
yeah, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming all the way up here. Never mention crap again.
I will be back.
Yeah.
But I won't.
Yeah, easy for some people to say.
Someone else can change it all.
No, not likely. Okay, so we need to move on to our next item, which is number 9 on the agenda, which is the proposed bus passenger shelter at bus stop 41416 at 172 Waitangi Road. And I'd like to invite Patricia. Oh, she's online.
Hello, I'm online. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, good.
Thank you, Patricia. Would you like to introduce this to us?
Yeah, I'm Patricia. So I'm just representing Sarah Thorne. I work in a traffic operations team and I help Sarah as a passenger transport engineer.
Great. Would you like to introduce the change or talk about the bus stop at all?
Oh yeah, so the report there, what we're recommending is to have a proposed bus passenger shelter at that 172 Waitangi Road outside Pack and Save. The land purchase was done in 2019. So yeah, at the moment it's just to put in the proposed bus shelter.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Patricia other than me?
No, it's a very detailed report and I think it's great.
Yeah. Anybody else? No?
So just a point of clarification, the report's a couple of years old and in the report, I'm not sure what page the report's on, 66, it says proposed new Pack and Save. So that has now been built, right?
Yes.
Don't spend a lot of time Pack and Save. And now you're just going through and putting in the proposed bus shelter, which is on the side.
Yes, so I mean, yeah, the report is, I mean, we only just did the report before the board, for the board meeting, so it wasn't an old report.
We're referring to the attachment, not the report.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
okay.
referring to the resource consent plan, excuse me, sorry.
Oh, yes, yeah.
It just confused me because they proposed Pack and Save and I was pretty sure I remember it being built, so I got confused.
Yeah, I think that because we had to update the resource consent plans for the shelter because we did a land purchase which happened in 2019. So that was the original resource consent plan. So that's probably why it says proposed Pack and Save is the original, which we updated.
Okay,
Happy now.
Okay, Patricia.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just wondered if you could comment on the cost and provide some context for us. It's going to be $52,000 for a bus stop. Is that right?
For the shelter, yes.
For the shelter, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Sarah did send through the costs that we've gotten from our contractor. I guess it is more expensive than usual because there's a lot of landscaping with the stormwater. So that's about $10,000 cost to change the rocks and the landscaping area, which we wouldn't normally have. The other cost is the increase in our bus shelter. We did originally negotiate or discuss with Media to see whether they wanted to put one of their advertising shelter in there, but they have declined that request because the tender is coming up for the contract is coming up for tender. So they're not, so they've declined it. So that's why we've gone with our shelter, and the shelter we're putting in is a new shelter that it's not the same as the current one we've got out there. It's going to be a toughened glass one, so it's it's harder to break. And so it's not like the Media one would just get shattered. And also the community feedback we've received about the perforated one. It doesn't protect, had water tightness issue, and also wind goes through them. So that's why we've gone, the shelter is more expensive now. We've done an upgraded shelter.
Great. Now, I mean, that's really good information because, there's a couple of things we don't like to see. One is broken glass and messy bus stops, bus shelters. Yeah, and I've never quite understood those perforated metal ones where, you know, it's not really a shelter so much.
No.
But anyway,
Yeah.
thank you for that. So would someone like to put the motion? Linda would like to, and Joe will second it. So all those in favour, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No, that's carried. Thank you, Patricia.
Okay,
Anyone
thanks.
here for you? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good information. So let's move on to item 10, and I'd like to invite Sean Ward to come and talk to us about items 10 and 11, I think.
Yeah, 10 and 11.
10 and 11. So we'll just do them one at a time. Welcome, Sean. Is this the first time you've been here?
First time I've been out for a while.
Yeah.
I thought I'd just take the opportunity to come in. It's the last meeting, which is probably not that useful, but it's on the way home. So I live in South Brighton, so
Oh, do you?
yeah, it's my local board.
Well, people to vote for. I don't think I'm allowed to discuss that, am I?
No, okay.
Anyway,
I don't think I can make statements as
welcome. Yeah, so would you like to tell us a little bit about 7 Sandy Avenue?
Yes, well, you've had the report. So Paul, who's my manager, and well, probably Michelle, actually, one of my team members has written the report. Most of you guys will be familiar with the site of this one. So it was Freeville School until the school amalgamation. And the proposal is for Freeville Place as the street name. You know, it's been through all the checks with Lynn's and with similarity to other names, and it's fine.
Cool.
I'll read it.
Does anybody have any questions at all? No? Okay. Did you want to move it then, Joe?
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll second it. All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? It's carried. Thanks, Sean. We'll move on to the next one.
Next one. And so
Item 11.
again, same thing with the reports. All those names have been checked. There's 4 preferred names there from the developer. And there are, I think there were supplementaries if there's a problem with one of those names. And you're all familiar with where this is. Again, another school site. So they're skinning out of schools over here. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not relevant to their own naming, sorry.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for
No,
Sean?
they're all quite nice names, aren't they?
Yeah.
Relevant.
Yeah.
So did you say there was an issue with one?
No, if there was, I think there are secondary names, but they're the preferred ones. I was surprised that Pingao hadn't been used already. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Okay. You'd like to move that? You'd like to second it, Celeste? Okay. All those in favour? Aye. Opposed? No? Okay, great. All carried. Well done. Good work, Sean.
Yes. It's interesting to see Marine Parade on the
Yeah.
having lived here, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not young and I've always lived quite big.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be good
Bit
to
overdue.
see it. Excellent. Okay, so now we're on to item 12 on the agenda. So this is the dedication of a road reserve to a legal road in Tahuna Street, Wainoni. So before we get into this, actually went to council on the 8th of September, and they resolved to delegate this to the Waitai Coastal-Burwood Community Board, the decision-making authority in respect of the dedication of the road reserve to legal road, Tahuna Street, Wainoni report. Okay, so who do we have here? Elizabeth? Elizabeth, welcome. Don't bring your phone up.
Oh, wasn't that terrible? It was my husband hounding me, probably saying, "What do you want for dinner?"
Exactly. Well, I thought that was my phone. I was thinking, geez.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah, but nobody ever rings me, so.
Well, they did today. And
Yeah.
at the worst time, but anyway.
And I did apologise.
Yes,
Okay.
you did.
Well, I don't know if there's a lot I can comment on any further on what's proposed here. It's fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
The 5 square metres and 7 square metres strip across the entire site. That's got no reason really to be there. It's ignored anyway. And 2 other sites in between in 2004 reverted to legal road. So Why these were left, I don't know. So it's just a tidy up exercise.
I'll move it.
Yeah, well, it's got to be done.
And
Yeah.
Linda's gonna move it and
Thank you.
who's gonna,
Are you going to second it?
all right. All those in favour, say aye. Aye.
Thanks, go sort my husband out now.
Give them a copy of your diary. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Much appreciated. Well, we're on fire now. So we're up to item 13 on the agenda, which is the Marshlands Domain proposed new lease for the Marshland Tennis Club. And I'd like to invite Kathy.
Hi.
Kathy, you're going to do 2 or 3
I'm
here.
gonna do 3
So
because I thought 3 property staff was too much for one meeting.
Yeah. Well, you should go and tell that to the transport team.
Yeah.
oh,
They were just on a field trip. You could see.
yeah.
It was.
Going, where is New Brighton?
Yeah, they know, they've been out here a lot lately.
Anyway, Kathy, Marshland Domain, do you want to
Sure.
A bit about the
lease?
Just their existing clubs. Well, this is an existing club because I'm only talking about this one.
Sure.
Been there for a while, lease is expiring. Our lease policy says that when a club owns their own improvements, we deal unilaterally with them. And so we go through the process to grant them a new lease because we can't grant them a lease longer than 33 years under the current Reserves Act. So we do our due diligence and they've requested a new lease. And this is what that's before you for.
Great. They seem really active, don't they, Linda? You see them all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and over the years, so I've done improvements, part of the fabric. So
Yeah.
got locals playing there, especially children.
Yeah, good. It's really good to see.
I think their membership's increasing with all those new housing developments and stuff close by, so,
They probably don't want to advertise for serious.
So many new homes.
Yeah.
yeah.
They've just got the 2 courts, I think it is.
Yeah, it's a big club for the size of the courts. They've done very well and they keep the
And there is the Limes, which is about 300 metres away, which is just a court on its own.
So, anyway, well, Linda, would you like to move?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm happy to move it.
Okay, well, I live nearby, so I'll second it.
All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, so that's carried.
Okay, let's move on to item 14.
Kathy?
So,
tell us
yeah,
a wee bit
so-
about the Pigeon
Yeah.
Flying Club.
Same scenario, they've got rooms on the domain. I always think of Jack Duckworth when I hear pigeon flying. But so they're still a strong club and they've requested that they be granted a further lease.
Right.
Nothing more really to say on that.
Community as well.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's a good recreation hobby for those that can't do, the more physical ones, so.
Yeah, good point.
Good point. It's always good to be part of a club.
Okay, well, Linda, your last meeting, would you like to move that one as well?
All over this one.
Okay, well, and I'll second it again.
So all
Those
those,
in favour, say aye. Aye. Okay, opposed?
no, carried. Thank you very much. Right, so
Item 15.
this is the big one.
The big one,
Yeah.
the big
So
one.
Would you like to introduce?
I mean, we
We
have
have had this before.
Sure, yeah, you have. So following your other reports that have come to you by my predecessors, Tom Lennon was the last one who worked on this and came to the board. So we did the RFP to the 2 selected parties, only 5 under par responded. We've been through the proposal with a very fine tooth comb. Len and our finance team was very, very thorough, identifying a number of issues. So we would like to grant an agreement. We would like to enter into an agreement to grant a lease so that 5 under par can meet certain conditions so that we know that they are financially viable and will be able to construct this and give them an opportunity of having a document that they can then go out to their investors, raise the money. You'll see in the resolution number 2 that are subject to Manifesto consultation. So we've had that they were consulted in the original QE2 Parks Master Plan, but because the commercial activity wasn't part of that master plan and it was a resolution from the hearing panel, the GM requested that we do further consultation through MKT. I've had those discussions with Henrietta Cole, from the chief executive from MKT. She doesn't see any concerns at all and doesn't see any reason why MKT needs to further consult on this. And so we would then
pending approval of the resolution, we'll then start drafting an agreement to lease so that 500 Park can start ticking off and meeting the conditions. We're proposing 9 months. They had asked for 6 months for financial, but just given the dollar values involved, we think that 9 months is more reasonable for them. Yeah, so I'm expecting that we come back in the new financial year with hopefully some more finalized plans and the funding and everything being all ticked off so that you can sign off on finalized plans.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. Now, if we're going to discuss any of the financial aspects or ask any questions of Kathy regarding the financial aspects, we'll have to go into PX. So does anybody have any specific questions, or are you happy with what you've read beforehand?
I'm really happy to see this go through. It's an element that we've been waiting for, because Kirritu Park is in the middle of both wards, and it's perfect location on the expressway, plenty of parking, and it really is needed.
Thank you, Linda. Anybody else? Yeah, I've actually always used to really enjoy going down there with my kids and sometimes with friends. Obviously, they won't have the golf course thing, but they'll have a mini park, you know, and it's really nice to see that people are prepared to take a risk to do something for themselves, but also for the community. And yeah, I'm really happy to see it return as well. So
It'd be good if the next board looked at appointing a board liaison.
That's a good point, actually. So who's going to be left? Joe? Maybe you'll have to bring that up.
You remember that, Joe?
Okay.
I have worked with Chris prior to being on the board as well.
Right.
And, you know, he suggested this to the Keep Kirritu group ages ago. And I thought, how cool would this be for the area and to get it up and running? And, you know, we can support him as much as we can. And try and get people behind him. If he is financial support, it would be wonderful.
He certainly did his homework in terms of getting, you know, collaborating with schools and every organisation this side of the black stump, which I have a lot of respect for, and the fact that he's, you know, prepared to put.
And very passionate,
Yeah.
I'm happy to move it.
Okay, well, it's in your ward.
Yep.
Maybe somebody else from the coastal ward might like to second that. Take that in, Leslie. Okay, so we've been moved and seconded. All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. So that's carried unanimously. Awesome.
Thank you. Can I just say thanks to everybody and to Linda? I've been at the council for 20 years. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the work that you've done.
Clearly from the Pleasant Point Yacht Club
challenge. Yeah. We have a few challenges.
Yeah, so we wanted to keep them.
Yeah, and then we got slot cars into the old Scout building, so that's all good.
I think that'd be more one.
Yeah. That's a fun one. Go there and play. That's great.
Yes, well, that's going to happen, but I've got to get out of this joint first.
She's working on it. Hey, thanks, Kathy. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Okay, so we move on to item 16, Windows in Sight, and this is the Coastal-Burwood Summer with Your Neighbours program for 2022-23. I'd like to invite Katie to come to La Table or La Table. So just, yeah, I mean, we've all seen this. Has anybody got anything that they would like to say? It's been amended as
Comment? Well done with the mess.
Yeah.
Thank you. I checked it about 4 times, so thank you, Linda. It's not my strong point.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to note, obviously, number one, we're just adding for a little bit more money, $115. What was originally proposed in the budget. It's just to keep the recommendations consistent throughout all of the groups there. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to move that. For the seconder. Joe. All those in favour? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so that's carried.
Awesome. Just wanted to point out that, how these work is it's reimbursements. So if an event doesn't occur, the money doesn't get paid out. So then it comes back into the DRF. Usually every year, you're probably looking about only 2/3 of them end up happening, and it's just sort of circumstances. I expect we'll have a few more events occur this year just because COVID has calmed down a bit, but yeah, so that's what happens.
All right,
Awesome.
good to know. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 17, which is the Waitai Coastal-Burwood discretionary fund, the discretionary response fund applications. So New Brighton project and the Brighton Gallery Trust. So I'd like to invite Emily to come forward with Jackie and give us a little précis of what we've probably already read, but
Yeah, I was just going to take the report as read. I've already spoken to you about the blanket bank and the transition, so you kind of already had an update on that. And the AED is for Carnaby Lane, which is an awesome idea as a collective of businesses and community groups. I think it's great they're all working together and wanting better health and safety for their streets. So.
With the AED, would that be outside the building or inside?
Inside, we did discuss an outside, but it was a lot more expensive and open to vandalism. But they're going to put it inside. I don't have room on the report to write all this, but they're going to put it inside. But all of the local groups will have a code to be able to get in there. So they've kind of thought around that.
Yeah. Thank you.
great. Any other questions?
So is it the only one in the area?
No.
No. There's others, but it's the only one that's kind of central.
Yeah.
You've got some along the beach and others. Yeah. So it's
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, they do great work. Yeah, it's always feels good to support them. So
Would you mind if I moved it?
you can move it happily. So
Just like
Linda's
it's been going on for a while.
moved it, and then
I'm being
Joe
is
is the second. Okay, all those in favour, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Oh, so that's carried. Thank you, Emily. Now we'll move to item 18, which is Jackie, and so this is the DRF fund for the American Football.
That's correct.
Canterbury Incorporated.
That's right. And this is a split application with Hallsville, Hornby, Riccarton and Papua New Innis, that they use our Marshlands domain for the juniors. And they had some equipment stolen, so it's the jug machine and some of the helmets which are used by members of the club. Jug machine is a ball throwing machine. Yes, I had to answer that question. Yes. So it's quite a major piece of equipment for them to.
So that two spinning wheels that spit the ball out?
Yeah, something like that. Very technical term.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the way I see it, I love American football. Watching the start in August. Anyway,
So the other two boards have already had their meetings and they've confirmed their amounts, which is at the bottom of the matrix there. So we're the last one to have our meeting.
so they've already paid for it. It's great.
No,
Okay.
not fully.
I just have one quick question. With their equipment, where is it being stored?
Over at their, what's it called, Night Stream, which is where their seniors play. So it's over in the Hallsville, Hornby, Riccarton area. And they didn't have insurance. So within the report, we've talked about them getting insurance through their national body. Yeah.
Do you think they need something over here?
They haven't specified that. So I didn't actually have this discussion with them. One of our other recreation advisors on the other side of town in the meeting with them to talk through their, but they haven't specified that they need storage on this side of town.
Sorry, can you see a typo?
Mercian.
Oh,
Mercian.
thank you.
Some kind of French thing. That looks good. Well spotted. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. So we have a motion. Well, no, we don't. I'm happy to move it. We have a seconder, please. And sorry. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? No? Okay. So that's carried. Thank you. Thank you, team. Much appreciated, Emily and Jackie. So we'll move on to item 19, which is the Waitai Coastal-Burwood Community Board Area Report for September 2022. So I'll ask Governance Manager Christopher Turner-Bullock to introduce this to us.
It's just another good report from the team on what's happening in the area. The guys are here if you've got any questions. Otherwise, it's your final area report for the term.
Great, thank you, Chris. Does anybody have any questions for the team from the area report?
I do have one question.
Good.
It's a very minor thing, but it's just my curiosity. There are 4 development fund applications. One from Matisse Foster, it doesn't say what it's for, just says the Reed's Cup. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I can answer that.
I'm assuming it wasn't a library.
No, it's not. It's a, essentially they have to, read, a series of books and then they go to a competition, you know, kind of like, yeah, it is. But it's like run by a national body and, the girls actually qualified, top of South Island. So, yeah, they're the only
That's
team.
amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Reading
pretty
is
cool.
a sport. I love it.
Yes, yeah. So that's what it is.
It's like mastermind.
Thanks, Katie.
Ask questions.
I'm gonna go Google it now.
Fair enough.
Something I could do, I reckon.
Well, maybe you'd like to move the report then.
Okay, this is my favourite part of the whole community board of these reports, so I'm going to move it.
Okay, do we have a seconder, Linda? Linda would like to second it, so all those in favour, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No, that's carried. 14, so item, actually, we were going to do the elected members and information exchange first. So who would like to go first?
I haven't got much to say, so I'll go first.
You can go first, Linda.
Now let me think. I really haven't got a lot because it's quieter for me now. But I am quite excited about what the Darlington Community Trust is doing. I know it's Darlington Cottage Community Trust, and I've wanted to change it for years.
Why was it called cottage?
Because it was a cottage. Well, they saw it as a cottage once, and the DRA and the DCT were one
Okay.
a long time ago, and they went in the shop. They were down the river end of McBratney's Road, and what used to be a hairdresser's salon, and it was quite nice. It was better than the shop. The shop is really quite a challenge. So the 9th of October, we've got the Red Zone Ramble, and this came to us from someone in the community. It's been in the community a long, long time. She has done some fantastic sponsoring work. I'm almost point of saying to stop, you've got so much. The trust is a little bit challenged at the moment.
Why is it?
We've got, 2 of them have got mobility and it's quite serious health issues. David is really busy and overworked, and we're going to lose our treasurer. He's going to stay on as an events help, really, that's all. He's been a fantastic treasurer, and he's really qualified. But anyway, what we've organised is we want to use the landing and the footbridge as part of this little adventure and end up at Slockyard Club. And there we're going to have some music. That's staying in wraps at the moment, but I'm really chuffed about it. And we could have working beehives, barbecue, and a few other things, and lots of prizes at that point. So that's the end of the walk. So it's really like a loop. And I think really it's going to start from Helberg Street, McBratney's Road end. So it goes through the red zone, down past the footbridge, have some stuff going on at the landing, and then carry on with the walk. So it'll be 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, nice.
It's for Darlington.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, you can come back. Please.
Sure. Yeah, I popped down to the Paducah Centre and they've got their foundations and they're starting to build the frames. So
nice.
Progress is basically, it's all happening now, which is really exciting. So it just means that they can keep going. I think they've been successful in getting some more fundraising, which is really great. So they're doing extremely well in terms of keeping the momentum going. So that's good news for them. Like a lot of the clubs around the area, I know New Brighton Bowling Club and then the Puffin Bowling Club open for the season. And a lot of them are starting up a Friday night bowl up. So, everyone's wanting to head along to either club on a Friday night. I think it's just a very mellow social occasion. I'm not particularly good at it, but there's always opportunities for improvement. Like some others, there's a new pop-up, well, there was a pop-up site on the Casbah site, which is great, using the outdoor spaces for music and events and stuff. So I think it's really great to see the common ground and some other spots, the red zone as well, getting used for things. And then there's a few things that Christchurch has either been working on. One of them is like a business support mentoring program where they're meeting with different businesses to provide an opportunity for people to come along and get help with different things. So the first one's being held by an accountant. So people can pop along and ask questions, local businesses, and it's all free as well. So it'll be quite good just to kind of support local businesses in the area, give them sort of a little bit of extra help to keep them going. And there's also another project which will be happening probably in the next couple of months called Blooming Brighton. Should be quite cool. So they're the community gardens and a few businesses, including the food joint and some other parties, are looking at putting in some flower beds and things, or using the beds that are existing as well, and sort of brightening up the space. And the community gardens are quite keen to sort of look at this idea of having an edible neighbourhood, which I think is fantastic. So that's something that will be kind of perhaps a long-term thing, but possibly looking at Brighton as the first edible neighbourhood in New Zealand, because we do have such a strong gardens here, and obviously it's a red zone. There's a lot of ways that you can integrate that, so I think it'll be really exciting if that goes ahead. And beyond that, sort of say well done to Jackie for getting the picnic tables.
Well, it was Parks unit, really. It was great.
Yeah, they look great, and a shout out to Grant, who is the driving force behind that as well. He's over in Australia now, but he's stoked, and then the Papua New Zealand Association, of course. And then just quickly, I went to the bar at the South Brighton,
Choral Society.
The Choral Society.
Yeah, they're great.
And they had an event at the hub, and that space is just fantastic. The cafe's absolutely packed. So
isn't it great? It's such a
it's
great thing.
good to see all those spaces open up. So there's quite a bit happening in the area.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that. Yeah, I'll never forget going to their meeting when I first was appointed board liaison at the hub, and they were wondering where their next dollar was going to come from, and they were well short, and they were tired, and here we are a couple of years later, and it's, beautiful, beautiful building, and they've passed the torch on to the next sort of generation. It's fantastic. It really makes me feel happy every time I go past the place. Anyway, thank you, Celeste. Joe.
Yeah, okay. So I've been quite quiet, really. I went to the South Shore Residents Association meeting last week, and there was a lot of discussion. They're actually still full on go, of course. And a lot of mention about things happening in the red zone and how they've been liaising with Courtney on the So they were calling her the Lone Ranger, and they absolutely have been onto her about everything. So it's really good to hear that communication and the engagement going on with that. They were going to follow up about the Estuary Edge project to see if there was any way the little bund could be also incorporated at the back of a couple of properties where the land on the red zone is causing flooding to go into the neighbouring properties. So that was one thing they were going to contact Katie about.
Joe, has there been any feedback about the Estuary Edge pathway around that house?
They were discussing that as well, and they are just keeping that
distance.
Well, not distance, but it's actually the discussion has died down.
Okay.
So they weren't going to escalate it again at the moment, because everyone's kind of accepting about it at the moment. Okay. So hopefully staff are working on a solution to this. Tomorrow we've got our last TTK meeting, and for the first time there's actually 2 proposed leases in the coastal ward. So all that time we've been on, there's actually 2 leases coming up. One next to the Bower Hotel, that piece of.
Are you allowed to tell us about this?
Just, it's our last meeting.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think we will be carrying forward after that, will we?
think the decisions will be made.
The
by
decisions will be
council.
made
Oh, okay.
by the co-governance team, so it was really exciting to see a little lease for Pratt Street and one for next to their hotel.
Great.
Piece of land, so something to keep an eye on, hopefully they'll go through. The Coastal Park Run trial start was on the weekend, and this was just a trial event to test out how it would cope for the run when it starts. It starts on the 8th of October, and they were expecting 12 people and 60 turned up. So that was really positive, and they all really loved the actual trail and the scenery and everything. So it's looking hopeful for the Coastal Wood. I've had a lot of feedback about people swimming at QE2 getting itchy. Is it something we should actually bring up with staff to see if we can actually?
Probably because the temperature's so hot.
Temperature's so hot.
Yeah, it's too hot.
Actually, that's not something,
Don't you ever step foot in there?
Yeah, no, quite a few people were saying lately that it's, they're getting itchy skin, and apparently they had talked to someone, and it could be some sort of calcium or something that they're putting into the pool.
Oh, okay.
But it would be really good to just make a mention of that to staff if we could, please.
And encourage them to speak to the pool staff as well.
Yes,
That's-
yes,
Yeah.
yes, definitely. Okay. Unfortunately, there's been a bit of an increase in graffiti lately.
Yes.
And Hepuna Taimoana was actually targeted, and they had to close the sauna for half a day until they got rid of the tagging on the window there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so Marilyn was right on top of that. I went to the community meeting regarding the Niwa Sam report. I think Phoebe and Celeste were there as well. And that was interesting to listen in and see what the community had to say. And for the museum meeting, I went to that, and they are having their garage sale on the 15th of October. So if anyone has anything they would like to gift to the museum to try and sell to help them raise funds, they'd gratefully take those off your hands. And while I'm here, we've got young Freddie from the museum, and he's helping do a lot of work with the technology side, and putting across a lot of stuff onto websites and things. And he's also been doing some interviews with some of the volunteers at the museum for Ferrymead Radio station. So the museum folk actually, sorry? Plains FM, is that okay? Sorry.
They play cool music.
Yeah.
That's
associated
with the politics. A little bit of historic stuff.
Yeah.
From some of the volunteers, just putting it out there, and actually people are finding it really interesting to listen to, and just encouraging people to go and look at the museum. So
yeah,
it's all good. And thanks everyone.
Yeah.
I've had a blast this June.
She's had a blast. I love it.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe.
No worries.
So it was as much as you normally do. Annie, that was good. Thank you. Phoebe.
I'll be quick then. So, yeah, TTK, as Joe says, is our last meeting tomorrow. So it sounds like council have recommended that we don't reform TTK after the election, but that the co-governance group take over the role. So tomorrow's our last meeting. We're going to have a regular meeting and then a catch up with Sarah, who's the sustainability, what's the committee called? Yeah, and community resilience. After we are a subcommittee of that group, so chat with you about what happens next and what we've been up to. I have Peak Trust and Actus next week. After the election period, I intend to stay on both of those boards, so they give me and a new person on, which would be nice for them. They're pretty happy about that. Both going really well. Actus is always going really well, but Peak is just going from strength to strength. We've got lots of new board members, and it's, yeah, I'm really gratified with how that's coming along. And the in my role as on the Darlington Residents Association, we're having our skip day in next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, next one. And I've been talking to Burwood East Residents Association about holding a skip day somewhere in the Burwood ward with them. So, and the board provided funding for that to happen. So we can help fund it between us and work in partnership, because the DRA has some money and liability insurance and BO does not. So we're able to work together on that. So that's quite good. And what else is I say? Oh, that'll do.
It's a great innovation, that skip days.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah. So we've done them for a while, and now Vera came down at Brooker Reserve and do a cleanup as well, and then just chuck all that into the skip and then the skip day. And they did one at 10 Shirley Road, which was really successful. Same kind of idea. A really good idea. And they're not that expensive, and it's a great community.
Yeah.
That was Antoine Karanik's brainchild.
Yeah, very smart. Yeah, and in fact, the college will have, or the DCT will have a barbecue on the same day as we run our skip day, and we send them down there once they've dropped off their rubbish.
Cool.
I had something I should have mentioned also.
Do it.
I should be going to the slot car club, and I forgot to say what the slot car club are going to do. They're going to have a go thing for the community. They really want to attract more youth, and father and son, or father and daughter things, and they really need to get their act together and invite you guys down for a team competition. And I'll tell you, it's vicious. It's good fun. If you blink, it's over.
Yeah, no, they do.
And they've also had some graffiti, ugly stuff. And they've talked to Rory about the possibility of shifting the park. It's a tricky one, this one, from the south side and put it on the north side so that it's an open area. But Rory will handle that. But it's a sensible idea, because it's an area that it attracts crime, because there's not a lot of activity there, and the slot car club being there has helped that a lot. But they have had a few attacks, they've had windows broken. They're a good team. The committee's a really good team. They're very hands-on, and they get their drills and God knows what else out and fix things, and
they're very capable.
Shoestring.
Yeah, they're a very capable bunch. All right. Thank you. Okay, so I'm not going to go into any great detail, but I just will tell you that the Marsh and Soul Trust is expanded, and we have now a fundraiser and a marketing person, and beginning to fundraise, and not this weekend, but the next weekend is a food sale at Marsh and Soul, which will kick off the fundraising for the new community centre, amongst many other initiatives that they're working on. So that's been really interesting. So I guess that comes to the end of the elected members' information. Celeste, go ahead.
Sorry, it's just a great event. I don't know if Joy, I think, belonged to it, but there was the Bowie Speak Series. I don't know if anyone knew about that. So we had 4 speakers, and it was talking about what COVID can teach us about climate change, and it was really well run. I think it was held at St. Faith's, and and they had 4 different speakers talking about it from different perspectives, from health to sort of food, community resilience, and all sorts. And I think I'm hoping that there'll be some more in the series, because I think it's really valuable to be having those conversations, and it's really well facilitated by the organisers. Simon did a great job with some others, so I just want to recognise them, because they put quite a lot of effort into organising that. So I think the response from the people there was really good as well. People enjoyed
Sounds
it.
interesting. He's quite the intellect, isn't he? So,
Yeah, and I think it's been it was live streamed, so I think if you go to the Bowie page on Facebook, we've got the video there if anyone wants to watch it.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry, Kelly, one little point.
Okay.
You don't need to know.
Yeah.
No, I just I see you've got the valedictory speeches. Can London go last?
Yeah.
I was gonna suggest.
I was
You're gonna
suggest that too.
Could you not
all in
before
hand.
you
Just
suggest?
because,
Don't
just
get the
because
last word.
You get the last word.
You should have the last word.
You are right.
Leave the last word.
Thank you, but it was well in hand.
Thank
So
you.
anyway, we're at that point now. So obviously there's going to be some changes after the election. You know, none of us might be back. It's really hard to know. So yeah, but it would be wrong if we didn't mark the occasion. So I would certainly like to see you later. Would like to invite BB Fraley to give a valedictory address.
I'm not usually one for speeches, but I have written a few things down because I have got some things to say. To get some things off my chest.
Uh-oh.
No, I have been reflecting over the last 3 years and what my goals were and how I've achieved them. So one of my main goals coming here was to learn more about how the board worked and learn about local democracy. And to do that so that I can go back into my community and be a better advocate for them when I'm finished here. And I feel like I have achieved that goal. I understand better how funding works, how to ask for help, how to get help for others. So I'm really satisfied that that has happened. I feel like that it must have been a bit of a wild ride for Linda when we all came on the board as the existing member with 5 new of us, and none of us really had any idea what we were doing. And so I appreciate, Linda, that you tried your best to keep us on the straight and narrow most of the time. And that I think we've all learned a lot together along the way. It was a really steep learning curve for me, learning how things worked. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed learning a lot. And I leave the board knowing much more than I did when I started. So that's always a success in my eyes. And thank you so much to the staff, all of you, but particularly for Cindy and Chris for all of your guidance and support. I really appreciate that. You've been very patient with us most of the time and given us good advice even if we didn't listen to it. So I do appreciate everything you've done for us. We can't have done my other main goal was to get more involved in the decision making around Red Zone and what its future is, and I feel really satisfied where that currently is and where it's going. It's been really gratifying to see how the area has changed in the last 3 years. So in our term, we've seen the 3 new bridges at a landing in our area, and the amazing Red Zone team, Ranger team, and them, they just do incredible work. And they're real advocates for the area, but also work so closely with the community. It's really great. We've seen the planting of probably over 100,000 trees, sorry, in the area, many of which I have planted all across our ward in that 3 years. And that's really about planning for our future. And it's exciting to see the potential future plans for the Red Zone coming along, and I intend to stick my oar into that as soon as I can when I'm off the board. I think we've had a really unique and challenging experience. Reflecting on it, we got elected and then almost immediately we ran into COVID, and that's been really difficult for us. It's been really challenging. It's made it really hard for us to stay connected to our communities, and I think we've done a great job. That it's been really unfortunate that we've had this difficult period to contend with. I think we've all done a really good job under quite trying circumstances at times. Yeah, and just to say that being on this board's given me an opportunity to meet some really great people, really hardworking people. I'm amazed, like every corner of our ward is just jam-packed full of people doing really hard work, and it's good to be able to be part of just giving them a little something that helps them to do that work. So I leave here, but I will continue to advocate for my community in my other roles. So don't worry, I won't give you a chance to miss me. I'll be back to talk to you, I'm sure. And just to say to the people who elected me and the people whose community I live in, to just thank you for the opportunity to be of service. Service is something that's really important to me. It's something I do in my everyday life. I'm grateful for everything I've learned and the opportunity to have done that service, and I'm looking forward to sitting back and watching at a safe distance what happens next.
But I thought you and I could take turns.
Excellent. Well, that was wonderful. Thank you, Bebe. Well said. Really well said.
Yeah.
Okay, Linda, you get the second last word.
All right, kid.
Here we go.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 pages, but they are a big print. I want to start by saying special thank you. We were talking about it before. We got this idea of running Nordic walking groups for fitness, for back injury support, all sorts of things. And I went to see you, and you were fantastic. And that was my first interaction with the community board. Never thought that I'd ever end up here at all. And gee, those groups took off. They really took off. We had South Brighton Domain was our adventure park, and we had Nordic walking with dogs and Nordic walking because you had a back injury, and there was older people, and then there was a super fit group. And it was reported that I run 3 a week, and I run into trouble with my own back injury. It was 3 a day. It was 3 a day. So yeah, I kind of overused myself there. Anyway, I'm just going to do this turn by turn, and I hope I don't bore you, but I always felt you guys needed to know this stuff. Right, okay, my first term. I refer to this as my scouting term. Listen and learn. No really big issues, and things seem to tick along quite nicely. Orderly. In fact, I was a blip, but on the board side. But the highlight for me was attending the 2008 New Zealand Planning Institute conference. That was held at Shantytown, Waitai Coastal. I was board funded for that, and that was really because I had a strategic planning background. The highlight of that workshop was a growing awareness of New Zealand's coastal erosion issues and the new strategy of not holding the line. That coastal communities had to receive that information. It's been subtle over years that they don't hold the line now. And we're national politics, they haven't got there yet, but it started way back then in 2007, and it probably started long before that as well. 2010, 2013, now these were unprecedented times. The first earthquake was 4th of September 2010, and right in the middle of an election phase. I'm not a good campaigner, and I prefer to have a job to do, work hard through the term leading up to elections, and I guess that's why I've been through 5 terms. I just worked hard. I didn't really campaign. My tripped up Land Cruiser got me around the wards to survey the damage. I mean, the other me is really quite a tomboy, an old one. Still clear as it was yesterday was the damaged streets of Darlington, Avondale, Horseshoe Lake, and the Bexley communities. The faces of people focused only on one thing, shoveling the liquefaction off their property and a lack of drinking water. It was 3 days after that event before our council organised contractors to help residents with these challenges. I was called the water girl. My Land Cruiser was loaded with full 20-litre water containers going backwards and forwards from Darlington and other places, refilling those containers. I was really busy doing that. And it really stopped when I lost all my 20-litre containers. I have to, and I had to do that, but I was not really conscious of the election. House was written off the same day I was elected to the chair, and I'm not so sure others would want that job if they knew what was ahead of them. February 22 was the catastrophic blow to our communities. Memories, I organised the Canterbury four-wheel drive emergency response teams to extract vehicles, help evacuating red sticker homes again and again. And I worked with David Collins, who was Civil Defence Area Coordinator for the East. That was fun. And I did 12-hour shifts on support at Latimer Square with USAR, which is Urban Search and Recovery, for 12 days. And then it was time to start the job of chairing. Definitely not a glamorous job. Long hours, meetings wherever we could find a space, usually cold, old halls. home late, toasted Marmite and thaw out in bed, often 7 nights a week. Getting through the CBD cordon at night, driving through an empty city, which is really strange, to many meetings at the art gallery. Definitely not PC, but early in our that phase, our sport and recreation staff took me through our precious Kiwi 2 facility. That wouldn't happen now because it's really not a PC thing to do, but it was mind-blowing. Then there was the red zoning of 5,200 houses in our wards. That was announced on the 26th of June 2011, and I've still got the newspaper. And just looking at the map of our wards and huge areas of red zoning was a lot to get my head around. So I went for a drive in my Land Cruiser all around the place, trying to get my head around, is this real? But it was real. And it was quite surreal times for people. And then we had the Have Your Say feedback program process for recovery of the city. We in the East, we just couldn't get our heads around this. We were all earthquake fatigued and really left out of the loop. We were followed by the blueprint, and it really just didn't register with our exhausted people. It looked to be stitched up, taking our much loved jewel in the crown, Kiwi 2, and that became a real fear, and it was a reality in the end. Now Joe was here in the room, you were there, you saw it, and we lived that together. The TC3 community meetings started rolling out, initially controlled by Sarah, MPI, other government departments and council in the background. We called them the Suits, Black 4 Drives and Blackberry Brigade, and no understanding of us at all. Our communities were anxious about their homes, their largest investment of their lifetime. The first meeting was in Avondale, a scene of angry outbursts and police interventions. So I was asked to open subsequent meetings. I declined. And I said, I will run them from start to finish, thank you. Because I am one of them, and I have a house that was written off also. I invited supporting agencies, including community law, to attend to support our residents desperate for information. What's going on? What's my insurance claim going to be? That's what they wanted to know, and it was so hard to get that information from them and for them. So much confusion to clarify, and standing room only in those cold old halls. Huge meetings. Subsequent to that, the residential advisory group was set up to provide free legal aid for our home insurance claims. That was a biggie. One issue very hard to resolve was the messaging between our council and our damaged communities. The board plan stated we would address this by setting up residents groups across the board, so information flow between us and them would be accurate. I don't recall other board members setting up any of these groups, but I set up 5. The records showed Avondale, Burwood East, Tamara Park, Waitakere now had established groups. The first being in Burwood East after a community meeting at Bassett Street Church hosted by Nigel Ripley. Like Avondale, Burwood East had red zone areas and committees changed constantly as residents left and others came on board. And other concerns, the migration away from the east, fueled by media. Don't rebuild anything in this place. Lots of commentary around abandoning the east. That did not help our earthquake-weary folk. And our roads were shocking. Liquefaction, wind ride, filled the air, and people with respiratory and eye issues suffered. And then the emergent issue, the fight to retain Kiwi 2 in the east, was born, passionately structured by Joe Zebos as a Facebook group. There wasn't a soul in the east that didn't sign on. And even though they were none weary from their insurance claim processes for their primary investment, their homes, they turned up. For myself, that term, my losses, my house, 2 earthquake-related burglaries, 2 family members, and the never-ending wait for my insurer to progress my claim, all at the end of the term. My timing's never been great. 2013 to 16 term, a fight to get our aquatics. A community advisory group, known as a CAG, was set up. Politically selected members. the late Evan Smith, Robert Jugerbeck, Joe Zevos, Chris Cole from Avondale Residents Association and myself advocated for its rebuild to be at QE2. Other panel members dropped off after losing interest. Those named above fought on and advocated to the council. They had in mind on a Graham Condon size facility for us. Like Joe, I was fully aware what our QE2 meant to us in the East, a community board that was indifferent as they didn't really use the facility and didn't understand what it meant to the community. So I went to the community and all together kept QE2 in the East, Early Birds Group, mustered by Shirley Forbes, great lady, and Willie Pitterman, and the wider community attended board meetings, again, standing room only. What we have today is due to that community, the tired community turning up at community board room to show solidarity. Joe knows it too. We won our deep water 25-metre sports pool, 25-metre training pool, and a spa with variable level strong jets for therapeutic merit. Back and forth, staff came to board, ticking off this and ticking off that, backwards and forwards, signed off, but where is the record? A deep 25-metre spa with variable level strong jets and a bonus due to found monies hydrotherapy pool. They did not deliver on the spa with variable level jets. We were shortchanged there, and I'm not going to let you electeds forget it. And the big positive, the government moved Avonside Girls and Shirley Boys High to QE2, and also Burwood Hospital went through a major extension. That was good for us. It was an economic godsend. 2016-19 term. I ping-ponged from Parklands to Pegasus, then South Brighton, landing in my regular Reborg, because that was where the land was. Commuting almost daily and continuing my focus on an area-wide community centre for Burwood. All the boxes ticked, a community study with the great help of Natalie, she was fantastic, identified the need, tick. With staff support, a representative group was set up, another tick. Feasibility study, another tick. This was all supported by our community board under Kim Money. I consider her an excellent chairperson, fair and willing to harness her board members' individual strengths. We come to this term. What a culture shock. As the only returning member, and with 4 board elections to my credit, I should tell the world how greed and control look post-election behind doors. Was the community's need met first? I don't think so. And then to our shame, this board voted to exit Christchurch Archery Club in the graffiti domain after 30 years. Good tenancy and a cooperative relationship with council over those years. The potential for an Olympic sport for youth at our 3 high schools gone. A change brought about by the by-election after Councillor James Daniels tossed it in was a cloud, like a cloud moving aside to let the sun shine in. Celeste was elected, and with a huge challenge to succeed in a very short time, I have to acknowledge her persistence in seeing our board meetings go live, because we are disconnected from our communities. And also board informal meetings to gain a cohesive board that would advocate effectively in serving those that elect us. Thank you. I have had the support of the best community board advisors and close working relationships with staff from Civic along this journey. Many hundreds and hundreds of fine Easties, special relationships with them. It's been a privilege to serve them. I saw firsthand how diversity connected communities and the constant battles for us to be held together. They are the grittiest folk you could ever meet, and they live here in the East. Looking at the new term, I see challenges for the new board. Communities are still feeling impacts of earthquakes, and the community's evolve has been unnoticed. Our youth and our older folk need to feel connected to their communities, and it's a long past time community facilities were back on top of the council's agenda, because social isolation will negatively impact in ways you do not understand yet for decades to come. It's all about forming conduits to build a close loop back to the board. my thanks to the staff that we have here. You've been fantastic, and over there, really good. And really, I want to thank the rest of you. And I think you've had quite a challenge on your hands, Kelly, because I'm a strappy old cow.
Only that be your last word. Okay, well,
I feel like a strappy old cow.
I'm going to stand because I've been sitting for so long. Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Bibi. That was really interesting, and thank you for that kind of history lesson. Actually, it was just reflecting over the many things that have happened over many years. You know, some of which you sort of forget about, and you know, it's really important to have context. And a couple of times, you know, during this term, you've provided some great context for us on things, you know, in the history of a particular situation. I really just want to do a little closing speech, I guess, of thanks. You know, I first want to commend everybody on their efforts. You know, I've really enjoyed this. I think you're a great bunch of people. You're all passionate, you know, in so many ways. I mean, and it's been, our staff have been absolutely fantastic. They've made our lives an awful lot easier. You're right, Linda, they've been very patient with us at times when we've been a bit frustrated. I think you might have said that as well, Betty. Yeah, I think that I want to thank everybody for their patience too. I mean, this is democracy. We discuss things, and sometimes we change our minds, and sometimes it doesn't go the way we want it to go, but that's democracy. And I feel like we've discussed our ideas and our thoughts on things, and where we think the community wants to go and where their sentiments are. And I think we've really tried to represent them as well as we can. I feel like we've had quite a big influence, our board, on the city, you know. Obviously, Phil's running for mayor, and all of us have contributed in different ways. I mean, James is gone, Celeste, you came on, and it was a, you know, refreshing difference, and I feel like you integrated well with us, and certainly changed the board in some ways, which I think has been great, and I think we all appreciate that. It's really good to acknowledge those things. And also, I think James made a valuable contribution too, and defended New Brighton particularly well against people who would try to put it down, outside people. Yeah, and I feel like the area, the wards, have made actually a lot of progress. I mean, some of it has been serendipitous. You know, COVID obviously brought its challenges, but it also brought shovel-ready funding, which has transformed a number of organisations in the community. And that's been absolutely fantastic. We were very fortunate also with the Canterbury Earthquake Appeal Trust and the money that funded the bridges and the Darlington Landing. And it's also the private developments that have been going on in, particularly in the New Brighton area, have really been quite eye-opening from where they were 3 years ago to where they are today. You know, it's really heartening to drive past the old school site and see those buildings going up. And I feel like we've been a part of that, and talking positively about the area, and making the most of the initiatives that are happening, and letting people know about them. Anyway, I guess to me, it's not about politics, it's about people, you know, and as you know, I can honestly say I've learned so much from you personally as people, you know, our discussions, and you're all so passionate. I've learned an awful lot from Linda, you know, which has been good, because obviously she's been around in this game for a long time. I've learned a lot from the staff. I've learned a lot from Jo about her passion for her community, and it's really good to see. We didn't always agree on everything, but yeah, I think you've been fantastic for your community, and certainly learned a lot from you too, Bibi, on process and how we need to get things right. So everybody brings their skills to the table. So yeah, I just wanted to finish on a positive note. Thank you for making my job a lot easier. I've really enjoyed working with each of you. I think you make incredibly valuable contributions to your community and our community as a whole. And combined with the staff, I feel like we've done some good work this term. So thank you very much. The last thing for us to do is to present a couple of plaques to our board members. So we'll start with you. Would you like a box? Shall we shake hands?
Oh, no.
Congratulations. And thank you.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay.
And Linda, it's my privilege to present you with this. It has all your 3 terms on here.
Oh, wow.
Would you like to shake hands? Would you like a hug?
Great.
Would you like to shake hands or would you like a hug? Okay, we'll do that. Congratulations and well done.
All right, thank you.
Excellent.
That's just nice, thank you. Nice.
Excellent. All that leaves us to do is the closing karakia. Would anyone in particular like to do that or?
Kelly would.
Okay, we'll give it a lash. Emily's quite good at this. Okay, so our last karakia. Unahia, kita uru kapanui. Kia wate, kia mama, kia nako, te tinana, te wairua, I te ara takita, koera ra rongo, pakiria, ake ki ranga, ki tina, huie, tahi. I now declare our last meeting closed. Thank you very much, everybody.